The Travel Transformation Podcast is proud to be partnered with Give the Goodness Global, an amazing global outreach project helping families in need all over Southeast Asia and beyond. Please check them out at Instagram.com/Give the Goodness Global today. And now on to the podcast episode.
Welcome to the Travel Transformation Podcast, where we talk all things travel and all things transformation, exploring the life-changing potential of solo travel, intentional travel, and location-independent working. Whether you're an aspiring digital nomad or simply wish to boost your confidence through epic travel experiences, I'm here to motivate and inspire you to go after all your wildest dreams. I'm Jessica Grace Coleman, author, certified travel coach, founder of the Travel Transformation Company, and your host for the Travel Transformation Podcast. Travel changed my life. Now let's change yours. You ready? Let's go. Hi, welcome to the Travel Transformation Podcast. I'm your host, Jess, and today I'm bringing you an interview with myself that I did recently on another podcast called Design Her Travel. Now, if you listen to my podcast every week, and I hope you do, you will have already heard Kim Anderson, who is the creator and podcast host of Design Her Travel, come on to my podcast to do an interview with me. So the episode you're listening to now is 102, and she is episode 92, so not that long ago. And I will put the link in the show notes to that episode in case you haven't heard it. But you can also go to traveltransformationcoach.com/92 to get all the links, the show notes, the transcript, all the good stuff for her episode. So we basically did a podcast swap. And I've done a few of these. I've got a few more coming up for the rest of the year. But we did ours sort of back to back. So I think it was one Saturday, we got together on Zoom and she interviewed me, I think, and then I interviewed her. And yeah, we just kind of clicked. We have a lot of stuff in common, as you can probably hear when we start talking in the interviews. And I just really enjoyed talking to her, chatting to her. It felt more like a conversation than an interview both times. And yeah, I highly recommend you listening to episode 92 before you listen to this one, or after, either way, to sort of get the whole story of both of us. And yeah, I like repurposing content that you might not have heard, like from me doing episodes on other people's podcasts. You might not have heard that, even though I do promote them at the time. Or, it might just have slipped through the net. You might have meant to listen to it and didn't. So I think it's always good. And as ever, I highly recommend you go and listen to Design Her Travel podcast. You can hear, obviously, the interview now here, but she has so many other great interviews. She does loads of great solo episodes. There was one that was a proper sort of pep talk episode that was really great that I loved. So definitely go and check her out. You can hear all about her, like I said, on the episode, and all the links and stuff to her stuff on that page that I just told you. I will just read out the blurb for my podcast episode with her that she did, and I can learn a lot from her on how to write the notes for each episode because she goes really in depth. So just for your information before we start, it is, are you ready for not only inspiration but for a step-by-step guide on revolutionising your life? If so, tune in because this episode is for you. In this week's episode, Jessica Coleman shares her inspiring story of the remarkable power of personal transformation. From a once-introverted dreamer with an insatiable desire to explore the world, she blossomed into a spirited digital nomad, traversing the globe with newfound confidence. Tune in as Jessica recounts her awe-inspiring tale of how a self-imposed 30-day challenge acted as the catalyst for her life's astonishing turnaround. In our heart-to-heart conversation, we delve into the profound concept of legacy building. Jessica sheds light on the significance of crafting a legacy that truly resonates with our essence and values. Through her experiences, she emphasizes how the fusion of travel and personal development can be the alchemical recipe for profound inner growth and outer success. Prepare to be captivated as Jessica imparts a treasure trove of insights and practical wisdom, offering invaluable tips on how to catalyze transformative changes in your own life. From actionable steps for breaking out of your comfort zone to strategies for manifesting your wildest aspirations, this episode is brimming with inspiration and motivation. Jessica's vibrant energy will leave you invigorated and ready to embark on your own journey of self-discovery. Tune in now to unlock the secrets to living a life you're proud of. Topics discussed. Life is short, so it should be nothing short of amazing. How micro changes lead to massive transformation. How to write yourself into a new story. The transformational power of travel and travel coaching and what it can do for you. So that's the blurb. Like I say, I need to up my blurb game having read this. But yeah, we're going to go straight into the interview. This is the whole interview as it appeared on her podcast, Design Her Travel. And like I say, I highly recommend you go and check it out. So here's the interview. Life is short, so let's make sure it's nothing short of amazing. Like, why would we do anything else? Why, when we can write our own story and when we can design our own life, why would you not write the best story you possibly can and do everything you can to make it happen? Because as far as we know, we only have one short life.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Design Her Travel podcast. I'm your host, Kim Anderson. As an avid traveler, global nomad, and someone who considers themselves a citizen of the world, I want to say welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. My hope in creating this podcast is to inspire you to take the leap of faith and to design the life of your dreams. For me, that includes connecting with like-minded individuals and creating a community of souls living their best lives out, in, and around the world. Each week, you'll hear stories and conversations from fellow travelers who have figured out how to incorporate travel as a key component in their daily lives. Their stories are beautiful and inspiring, just like you. I can't wait to go on this journey with you. So let's do this. Here we go. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Design Her Travel podcast. I am super stoked to bring today's guest to you. Today, I have on the show Jessica Grace Coleman. She is also known as the Travel Transformation Coach. She's a writer, intentional travel advocate, host of the Travel Transformation podcast, and founder of the Travel Transformation Company. She is the author of the books Write Your Life, The Ultimate Life Hack for Achieving Your Dreams, and Intentional Travel Transformation, Boost Your Confidence, Conquer Your Fears, and finally become the person you've always wanted to be. Through sharing her experiences as an introverted digital nomad and solo female traveler, she's here to show people that it's never too late to step outside their comfort zone and boost their confidence through travel. And she likes to let you know that you don't have to do anything as monumental as hiking the Pacific Crest Trail or climbing Mount Everest to achieve transformative results. Jessica completely flipped the script on her life using intentional travel, and now it's her mission to help others do the same through her books, her podcast, and her online Travel Transformation Academy. Welcome to the show, Jessica. I'm so happy to have you on. Thank you for joining me today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here and to meet you properly online.
Yes, me too. I know I love this digital world where we get to have so many interactions with people around the world. And then when we actually get like a face-to-face interaction, it's like you feel like you already know them so well, even though we've never properly been introduced. So yeah, welcome to the new world, right? Yeah, so I love, because one of the things that inherently within my being that I understand is the way and the power that travel has to transform your life. And there's so many ways to do that. And sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it isn't. It's a later awareness. But with you, you sort of started out with the full intention of bettering your life, bettering who you were, bettering the person that you want to be. How was life before that? And what was the genesis that made you say, okay, I've got to do something different?
Okay, well, how far back should I go? I think like many people's stories these days, it kind of started in the pandemic with all the lockdowns, everyone reevaluating what they want out of life, like trying to think about what they want their priorities to be. I also had this back injury at the time, and I was sort of housebound on and off for about a year before the lockdown started. So I was already wondering if I was ever going to be able to travel again, because I couldn't sit, I couldn't stand, I couldn't walk very well. So the idea of sitting on a plane for a few hours was just not something I could ever see myself doing again. You know, in that moment when the pain's so bad, you start thinking, is it ever going to happen again? And then the pandemic happened, obviously, and then everything got closed down. Anyway, when the time the world opens again, if I'm at a point where I can actually sit on a plane, I'm just going to go for it. I'm not going to put it off anymore. I'd been wanting to go to this co-living place in Spain for years. I'd been on their mailing list for years, but I'm a massive, massive introvert. I'm very shy, I'm very quiet. And the thought of going and staying with like 20 other digital nomads from around the world for a month or however long, it it kind of filled me with dread at the same time as filling me with excitement. So I was putting it off. And then, so it was during the pandemic, I wrote a book called Write Your Life, which is all about designing your life by writing yourself into like a fictional story of how you would like your life to be if you could write anything. And the whole point is we can write anything if we, look at it through that lens. So I wrote that, got into self-development, all that stuff. And then I did a sort of self-imposed challenge for 30 days at the end of 2021, where I did one thing a day that scared me or that I've been putting off, because I think we put things off out of fear a lot of the time, whether we admit it or not. So I did that for 30 days and it was kind of like an excuse to do all this stuff that I've been putting off. It was like a reason to do it. And by the end of the 30 days, I had applied to the co-living place in Spain, which I'd been wanting to do for years. I had handed my notice in on my house. I put all my stuff in storage. I got like a storage unit. I'd left that. I had also pierced my nose because I wanted to do some fun things and I'd wanted to pierce my nose for like 20 years. So I finally got around to doing that. And yeah, I completely changed my life. And then I went to Spain in the Basque Country for a month in this co-living house with people from all over the world. I should mention that I have proofreading and ghostwriting and editing business as well, which I've done that since 2014. So that means I can work from anywhere. And that was the start of my journey. And like you said, with the intentional travel, when I was sort of re-evaluating everything, I was like, what is the main thing holding me back? And it's always been my introvertedness, like quietness and shyness on top of that, not wanting to be the center of attention. So I don't put myself out there. I don't go after things I want. And fear of public speaking has always been a massive part of that. Like at school, at uni, doing presentations, at work, if you had to do a presentation, it would just fill me with dread, fear. I would shy away from any of that kind of stuff, wouldn't go after promotions, wouldn't do any of that stuff. So I was like, I need to get over this. And I know this co-living place I went to is called Sun & Co. Their whole ethos is that we learn from each other. They do skill shares, they do workshops, they do, all that kind of stuff. It's all about growing your business and growing as a person. There's a lot of self-development and mindset stuff. And I knew that they would be asking for volunteers to do workshops. And that is like one of my worst nightmares, as well as standing on a stage in front of hundreds of people. That's probably the worst one. But so I put my name forward knowing I would be absolutely terrified. I did it on life purpose and legacy because they're two things I'm really passionate about. And I did the presentation at the start of the month there. I was shaking, like thought I was going to throw up, all that stuff. But I did it. I got through it. And then after that, I was like, okay, I did it. I'm going to spend the next month throwing myself into as many of these events, workshops, masterminds, all that kind of stuff. We did loads of like workshop, quite intense, like personal stuff that I would shy away from in the past. I did all of that. Obviously, it's a very social environment. It was just me basically saying yes to as many opportunities as I could during that month. And at the end of the month, I'm a writer and I wrote a poem. I'm not a poet generally, but I wanted to write a poem about my time there. So I didn't forget any of it, basically. I put all in our little in-jokes in, all the things we did, all the fun times we had. And I was reading it to myself one day, like towards the end. And I was like, I should just read this out to the group on our last day. We were having like a last supper, like a last day, like last meal, last night party. And without even really thinking about it, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I told everyone, I stood up, I read out my poem, and reading out my own work is like one of my biggest fears as well. And I wasn't scared. I enjoyed it. And I was like, if I can change that much in 1 month of just being intentional about going after trying to conquer my fears and basically facing my fears, what can I do going forward? And also, how can I help other people do that? So that trip changed everything. I went to a few places after that, but when I came back, I wrote a book about it. I started my podcast. I started my company, and everything stemmed from that trip. Yeah, when we talk about intentional travel, that's exactly what I did when I went to Spain. And it was the catalyst of everything. I had no idea it was going to be the catalyst of everything. But yeah, that's where this whole new business started.
If people could see my face right now, it's sort of in the gobsmacked position this whole time you've been talking. I mean, 30 days. You committed to 30 days of committing to yourself and conquering your fears. Mm-hmm. And you completely changed your life in 30 days. And those fears you had harbored for your lifetime, like those were very deep-seated fears. And it's amazing that one by one, you just ticked them off and you gained this momentum. And now look at you. I'm like, I am so amazed and inspired. And I think that anyone listening to this will find inspiration in that. Life can be scary. It is the thing. There are so many things in life that you're right. We don't do them them, if we really get down to the root of why, it's because we're scared. And it might be scared of what other people think. It might be scared of what if I'm a total failure? It might be scared of what if I get laughed at, or what if I don't fit in? It's all those basic things of like almost elementary schoolyard fears. Like, what if they don't like me? You know, what if they don't accept me? And so I love that you were just like, screw this, I'm out. I got this. So amazing. And so when you decided to do this, did you plan your 30 days? Were you like, this is what I'm doing every single day? This is how I'm going to conquer this fear, this fear, this fear. How did you develop, first off, what it was that you were super afraid of? And then how did you create the 30-day plan of action?
I think I've always known that was the main thing holding me back. And when I wrote my Write Your Life book during the lockdown, I think it was the first lockdown, in that I sort of wrote myself into this fictional story. I did the sample chapters throughout, so showing people how to do it themselves. And I sort of, in that, I picked my biggest fear, which was public speaking. And then through the Write Your Life method process, it takes you through certain steps, but you basically pick one big climactic scene that would come at the end of the novel. It's basically your biggest fear. And so I wrote myself going and doing a TED talk on stage, because that would be one of my biggest fears. It's, you know, a huge stage. The people there would see it, but then it gets put on the internet. You know, everyone around the world can see it and judge you. Like you were saying, it's all those childhood fears of being judged and like, what are people thinking of me? What if they don't like me? You know, all that kind of stuff. So I'd written that as part of my Write Your Life book. So I knew that was the number one thing I had to tackle. And I kept thinking, if I just tackled this 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, where would I be right now? Because it has held me back my entire life. I wrote a little section at the start of my Write Your Life book about being sort of flashback to me being in school and having to stand up and do a presentation to my classmates. And I was like, just trying to describe the sheer terror I felt. And like, even just like writing it out, I was just sweating. I was like right back there, my teenage self, absolutely terrified. My cheeks would go red. I would be like shaking as I held my paper. I would just want it over with as quickly as possible. And then I'd sit back in my seat and just like hide and just be like, it was one of the worst things I could think of, which when you think of it logically is ridiculous. But a lot of people have this fear. Yeah, I knew that's what I wanted to conquer. And then I did the 30 days of Flip the Script on Fear challenge, I called it. And that was basically just one thing a day. I came up with I had my academy at that time, and I was coming up with, I thought I could make it into like a mini course or something. So I came up with some rules. I did like a challenge diary, which I thought might help people. And for everything I did, I wrote out why I was doing it, what my fear around it was, and then like the consequences, the initial consequences, which is usually, you know, relief that I've done it, satisfaction, all that kind of stuff. And then I would leave room for to consequences, like the ripple effect it might have had. And some of these were scary things, like conversations I've been putting off having, like I said, applying to that Spanish co-living. Some of it were fun things like having my nose pierced and stuff like that. Some things were just things I've been putting off, because I think things we've been putting off, like maybe medical stuff, obviously not urgent things, but like things you've been putting off for maybe a few months, that takes up space in your head. It takes up mental space. And I just wanted to like wipe the slate clean, basically, so I could focus on what I actually wanted to do. So there was like that kind of stuff I did. I did loads of loads of random stuff, but I didn't really have a goal for that other than seeing where it ended up and seeing if anything came from it. And obviously it did, because I ended up changing my entire life, flipping the script on my life. Although when my brother, who's helped me a lot with my business, he says I burnt the script. I just like got rid of it, started over again. And then when I went to Spain, my main intention was to do a workshop and to get it done and to survive it. Like that was my only thing I wanted to do, because that in itself was like enough for me. And I was like, just get that done. It's a couple of days after I get there, then I won't have to do anything like that the entire month. I'll have got it done. I can relax a bit. But as soon as I did it, I was like, I can do it. I can do other things. And then I started going to every other workshop and not just being a spectator, which is what I usually do. I usually sit and listen and take everything in. And I'm quite happy doing that. But I really forced myself to take part in everything I could, be a volunteer, put my hand up, like say something, whereas normally I would just listen. Yeah, that just kind of snowballed as well. And then that turned into my book, Intentional Travel Transformation, which is basically the story of those 2 months. So I had 1 month in Spain, and then I did some solo travel around Spain and France before coming back. So there was like lessons from solo travel as well, which I think is super transformative in itself, even if you don't go with any intentions.
Yes, it sounds like putting yourself in a completely new scenario, like an actual new physical location with a clean slate. Do you think that contributed to you being able to break out of your comfort zone? You know, it's a new place, a new scenario, everything's new. It seems when we live or feel stuck in life, we continuously do the same thing over and over, or live this life that can be boring, or there's no excitement, or it's just, you know, life's become mundane. Do you feel like being in a new location was one of the contributing factors to be able to break out of that mold?
Absolutely. And that was one of the reasons I did flip the script on Fear Challenge in the first place. I wanted to shake things up after the pandemic. Everyone had got stuck in a rut, you know, the same old mundane routine, like you were saying. I wanted to get out of that. And I thought the only way to do it was to sort of force myself to do something new every day. So it's definitely about trying new things. But yeah, definitely the location, and also the fact that I went to this co-living house. So it was work and live together. Everyone there has a remote business, or they work remotely for someone else. Yeah, the fact that it's somewhere new, the fact that no one knows you, like you don't know anyone, but they also don't know you. So they don't know anything about you. They don't know if you're shy or introverted or extroverted, or if you do workshops all the time, or if you're terrified by the thought of it. You know, like you can start completely with a clean slate if you want to. And I'm not saying like go and bake anything, but you can use it as a sort of platform from which to create the person you actually want to be. Like I'm sure we all have this image in our heads of the person we want to be, like more confident, or, you know, stronger, or more independent, or someone who just goes after what they want without talking themselves out of it. You know, like we all have that sort of person in our heads. And I think going to a new place where no one knows you is the perfect opportunity to just try and be that person a little bit more. It doesn't have to be the whole thing, just like I did. I did a workshop, whereas in my normal daily life, I would never do that. It also gives you an opportunity when you're living with people from all over the world to do, and when there's like things like we had like social events, like actual planned events, business events and social events, just do things you would normally not do in your normal routine. And like you say, that just getting outside of that routine, it makes you feel like you can do anything anyway. Like you're not stuck in your usual life. You can try new things. And I think definitely being somewhere no one knows you, it kind of gives you the permission to try new things. Whereas if you tried all this new stuff in your normal life, you might get friends and family going, what are you doing? And like, you know, like questioning it. And it might stop you from doing it, or stop you from trying it, because you don't want to make a scene, or you don't want anyone to think like, oh, what's wrong with her? You know, like it's just that kind of thing. If you've got no one who knows you, you've got permission, or you give yourself permission to go out there and be who you actually want to be.
Yes, you get to revolutionize your identity and be the person that you desire to be, and not the person that other people expect you to be in that scenario, you know, because we grow up, and I love that you mentioned that, because it's a facet that I hadn't thought about in a long time. And as you travel and move about the world and you're in new scenarios, you are also a new person, because you're faced with new situations, new people, new conversations, new perspectives. And so you get to create and be a different person and strengthen the identity of who you really are in the world. And so I think that's one of the beauties of travel, is that you get perspectives, so many different perspectives of people and places, that you really do get to craft the person that you are within yourself in all those scenarios. So I think that's such a beautiful, beautiful gift.
Since the start of the pandemic, many people have been reconsidering the ways in which they have fun. After a horribly isolating couple of years, we're now craving connection, community, and real deep conversation. We don't want to do the same old stuff every time we meet up with friends. We want something new, something different, something more. Enter the Flip the Script Party Packs. These digital party packs will help you flip the script on your usual parties and flip the script on your lives. Yes, this is self-development, but not as you know it. When you buy a Flip the Script party pack, you'll get taken to a super secret page on our online portal, where you'll be guided through your very own Flip the Script party with videos, fun worksheets, and printables to help you throw the best Flip the Script party ever. There's a party pack for everyone and every situation. Mindset makeover, business bestie, life goals and legacy, birthday boost, hen-do hootenanny, and team building takeover, all designed to help you have a great time in a fun, collaborative setting. They're also perfect for when you're meeting people on the road and you want to get to know your new travel buddies. Small talk's dead. It's time to get deep with a Flip the Script party. Just head to traveltransformationcoach.com/party to purchase, or get all 6 party packs free when you sign up to the Flip the Script Digital Nomad Academy at traveltransformationcoach.com/academy. And now let's get back to the Travel Transformation Podcast.
Tell me about life purpose and legacy. That was your ice-breaking public speaking moment, and it sounds beautiful. So what is that?
Yeah, so basically I think a lot of the reason around why I felt so stuck, not just physically in the pandemic with my back issue, but stuck in life, not knowing where to go, not knowing what to do, is because I didn't have a purpose. I didn't really have a meaning behind what I was doing. I enjoyed helping people write their books and that kind of thing, which was the work I was doing, but there wasn't like this huge purpose behind it. And when I started writing my own books and editing other people's books, a lot of the same themes kept coming up for me. I had a lot of older people come to me who want to write their autobiographies before they die, basically. They want to pass their stories on to their family. Like, they may have told the stories verbally, but it wasn't on paper anywhere. So they would get to a certain age, and I had a lot of clients in their 80s, and they would just be like, when I go, my story is just gone. Like, the way I tell it, the way I remember it, all the things I learned, it's just gone. And there's a great quote. It's like an old ancient African proverb. It's, when a man dies, a library burns to the ground. And obviously you can change that for woman or whoever. But that really, really sort of stuck with me when I heard that quote. I was like, it's so right. You can know about a person and you can have heard some of their stories before, but there's nothing quite like about reading, say, a book that they've written in their own words about their childhood, about growing up. You know, if these people are in their 80s, they grew up in such a completely different time to how we grew up and how their grandkids or whoever are going to be growing up. And we might not really realize how different it is until we read their stories, get to know them through their own words and the lessons they learned, to the things they want to pass on to their kids and their grandkids, or, you know, their friends or whoever, if they don't have children. Working on so many people's autobiographies got me thinking about legacy. And a book is a great way of leaving a legacy, but there's so many other ways of doing it as well, especially in the online world. You know, people have YouTube channels, they have podcasts, they have blogs, they can get their story out that way, they can tell their lessons that way. And part of my purpose when I did this, because I didn't have the whole travel thing then, part of my purpose was helping people leave their legacies through a book or however they want to do it. I'm also a huge Hamilton fan. I don't know if you've seen Hamilton, the musical, all the themes in that. Yeah, all the themes about legacy, about life being short, about time running out, and about wanting to achieve your dreams while you can, while you're here. That really resonates with me. I have a sort of quote that I use a lot on my website. Life is short, so let's make sure it's nothing short of amazing. Like, why would we do anything else? Why, when we can write our own story and when we can design our own life, why would you not write the best story you possibly can and do everything you can to make it happen? Because as far as we know, we only have one short life. And that's, life purpose comes into that a lot. So if you can figure out what you want to do in life and you figure out what legacy you want to leave, they're often completely linked. So if you have a lesson you want to leave someone else, if you've got a story that you really think can help other people, if you've just gone through the whole turning your pain into your passion thing, if you've been through a terrible time but it could help someone else, then why wouldn't you get that down somewhere, either as a book or online or wherever, and use it to help other people even after you're gone? And I think the whole point of us being on this earth, I have no idea what our purpose is as a whole, you know, for humanity, but I think our own individual life purpose should be to leave the planet a little bit better than how we found it. And if we can do that by passing on our story and our knowledge and anything that can help the next generation, I think it's our priority, really. We should really strive to do that in any way we can. So that was the whole kind of gist of it. Yeah.
Wow, that's so beautiful. And I think, I don't remember who says this. It's a big online marketing guru, not guru, but just really one of the top people. And he says, if you don't share your gifts with the world, it's actually a disservice. You know, you're actually doing a disservice to the person that needs your inspiration, your voice, your gift, your message, your words. Someone needs to hear that in order to help them be a better person, for them to step into who they want to be, for them to just understand they're not alone. They're not the only one going through this. And so I love that. and you flip the script. You're doing all of the things that your heart desires and facing all of your fears. And now you've stepped into life as a coach. You're helping other people do this, and you're a travel transformation coach. So what is a travel coach? And for people that don't know, what do you do to help people create this intentional life? What is the process? What do you do?
Yeah, so travel coaching is kind of a new thing. And a lot of people get a bit confused. They think like, well, we have travel agents. Why do we need travel coaches? But travel agents help you with the booking of a trip, like the logistics, all that kind of stuff. Travel coaching goes deeper. People often pair it with life coaching. They often pair it with self-development exercises and mindset stuff like I do. And it's going into how we can use travel as a tool to transform ourselves, to boost our confidence, to step outside our comfort zones, to try new things, to ultimately change our life instead of just looking at it as an escape from your life for a couple of weeks while you sit by the beach or, which is fine, which is great. We all need that too. But it's taking travel and looking at it in a different way. So there's so many different types of travel coaches. I'm all about travel transformation, as you can probably guess, which can cover lots of different things. Intentional travel is definitely one of my main things I talk about, as well as solo travel, because I think that there is nothing like solo travel to help boost your confidence, especially if you're someone like me, quiet, shy, introverted. You've told yourself your whole life that you can't do certain things, or other people have told you and you've internalized that. I never thought I'd have the confidence to go on a huge trip by myself. What happens if something goes wrong? I have to meet all these people and it's really draining as an introvert. How do I manage that? All that kind of stuff. Solo travel is definitely another thing I talk about. And yeah, a lot of coaches do one-on-one sessions, like Zoom sessions. They take you through a strategy. I have a travel transformation strategy myself. I also have my Write Your Life method that I mentioned. I tend to coach, I tend to do it through my podcasts, through my books. I've got courses that I do online as part of my academy. Everything I create, I put into my online travel transformation academy, which is like an online portal. There's courses, there's guides, there's resources, there's challenges. There's my Flip the Script challenge that I mentioned that started this whole thing. That's in there. And yeah, in the future, I'm going to be offering group coaching sessions in the academy as well, because I think that's a great way. Like, community is everything. The people I've met while traveling and staying in these houses have really shown me that you can really do anything. They're so inspirational. I love seeing where they're traveling to, what they're working on. So amazing. And then any online community you can join as well with the coaching program element to it. It just shows you there are other people out there who are feeling the same way as you, maybe a bit stuck, maybe wanting more out of life, maybe feeling there's something missing and they don't know how to do it, and they're really into travel and they want to incorporate that and they don't know how to do it. And so just knowing that there's other people there, meeting other people, maybe, meeting your next travel buddy. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I think it's the thing about working together as a group and going through, frameworks or methods or whatever you have. A lot of coaches do offer one-on-one sessions, and they will literally take you through the pre-trip, the during the trip, and after the trip as well. Because I think a lot of people, they'll go on this life-changing trip and they come back and they go back to their routine, their normal routine, their normal life. And it's like it never even happened. Whereas if you take what you learned during that trip and learn how to apply it to your everyday life, to make it more meaningful or to make it more exciting or to make it more adventurous or whatever you want, then that is the key to transforming your life through travel. So travel coaching is sort of before, during, and after the trip. It's not just booking the holiday for you. So yeah, in a nutshell.
That's amazing. And there's so many facets. That's one of the things when, you and I touched base a little bit before we hit record, was the sheer volume of things that you've created since you started this is amazing. I know from the back end side, the amount of time and dedication it takes to even create a podcast. So how is it that you find the time, or are you, because you're creating your own intentional life, you are traveling the world, you are breaking barriers and getting out of your comfort zone, and you are producing a lot of content, books, information, programs. How do you, I don't know if it's manage your time, how do you create all of these facets within your day-to-day life?
It's a good question. I'm not even sure I know, but I think one of the things is a lot of us felt that time stood still during the pandemic. We had more time, well, unless you're on the front line, and those people are amazing. Most of us had more time than we ever had in the world, but we couldn't do a lot with it. We were at home. I, like a lot of people, read a lot, listened to a lot of podcasts, took a lot of courses. So I was, filling my time. But there was that element where you just felt like you were waiting. You were just waiting for the world to open up again so you could go out there. And me personally, because a lot of my dreams are about traveling, you're just waiting until you could go after that. So as soon as I could get on a plane again, I was like, I don't know, turbocharged or something. I was just like, I'm just going to go for it because life is short. If I really want to do this, I've got to try and just put my all into it. But in terms of time management, I find just if I look at something as a huge project, like a book, it's too daunting. It's too overwhelming. I can't deal with it. But if I, break it down, I just say, I'm going to do half an hour a day. I'm going to write for half an hour a day. And then I'm going to work on my idea for my podcast for half an hour a day. And like, even if you're just doing tiny bits each day, that really does add up over months, years, and you do get there. It might not, take you a bit longer, but I feel that's the way I have to approach things, in tiny bite-sized bits. I also think I work better if I have lots of stuff going on at once, so I can go through those bite-sized bits, but do maybe like 4 or 5 projects a day, but only half an hour at a time, just to move forward a little bit on each one. Whereas if I have a huge project and I'm just focusing on that for like a month, it's too overwhelming. It's too much. So I would say break it down, just work on something, anything every day that's going to get you that bit closer to your goal, and you'll be surprised about how you actually do achieve it in the end. And time's going to pass anyway, so you may as well do a little bit each day to get towards what you want to be creating.
I love that. And I think Tony Robbins says most people overestimate what they can accomplish in a year, but they underestimate what they can accomplish in 10 years. And so
yes.
I think your philosophy really works, because a lot of the times, if you're really just going for it in one particular area, that there's a house fire behind you somewhere, something else is falling by the wayside. And that's life. There's seasons, you're able to produce a lot in one direction or for one project or another, but taking bite-sized chunks out of it continuously allows all of it to grow, and you really gain momentum. That's the other thing. And that's the one thing that I think is really key and obvious in hearing you tell your story, is that just taking one tiny step at a time makes massive change over a significant amount of time. And I think that that's a really great way to look at anything you're doing in life, is just break it down into doable portions. So that's really great.
Yeah, definitely.
And so you always had a desire to travel. And I think as travelers, that's always been within us. Maybe some people gain that desire at another point in life, but for many of us, we've always had it. It's just been part of who we are. So what is it about travel that really fills your soul, that makes you say, this is something I want to do? Like, I have to do this in life. This is part of my core value.
Well, it definitely started as a kid. I was very lucky in that my family would go away on family trips sort of every summer. Some of them would be small we'd go down to Cornwall in a caravan for a couple of weeks, but occasionally we'd go on like these road trips. When I was 10, we went on this amazing road trip around the state, around like the national parks, all that kind of stuff. And that blew my mind. Just the fact that we could get on a plane. A few hours later, be in a completely different country. And my dad hired a car, and then we would just drive through. We went through several states. I just loved the idea that you can get in a car, just head out on the open road, especially in the States, like the roads, amazing, perfect for road trips. You can just see it way into the horizon. It just feels so freeing, like that you can achieve anything, that you can go anywhere, you can do anything, you can be anyone, as we were saying before. And that definitely stuck with me. The United States road trip in particular. Now I love road trips these days. And I also went to Colorado for a year as part of my university degree, because we went through Colorado while I was there. And I don't think I would have done that without, the family holidays. That year abroad in particular, meeting all these people, there's so many international students living in the States. I felt like I was in like an American college movie. Like it was just exactly how I pictured it, with all the games and the cheerleaders and the bands. And it was just incredible. And I was like, I have to make this a part of my life. I can't have this be the only, the peak of my travels. Like it was the best year of my life. And I need to continue this, even if it's a little bit. And I've always had it in my mind that I wanted to be able to work remotely and travel. I had my own business since 2014, and it took me until the start of last year to really put my stuff in storage and go for it. So it took me about 8 years to get to the point where I was doing it. But I always had it in my mind. I'm not the kind of person who just wants to stay in the same place and do the same thing all the time. I need to see as much of the world as I can while I'm still here. That whole life is short thing again, it's that kind of thing. Yeah, so it definitely stemmed from childhood holidays.
I love that. And something I like to ask people, because, there are those that do and those that don't in life. And we all harbor a dream that we've all shelved, no matter how big or how small. Some are life-changing and some are just a way to change your daily life. Like, the scale is vast. And so what do you think allowed you to step into your bravery, and how were you able to just fully flip the script and design your own dream life, whereas others are afraid to do that? What's the difference? How did you do it where others can't?
I think a lot of it is, well, the whole point is that I have been afraid my entire life, so afraid that I just got to the point where I just had enough of it. Like, I'd had enough of being terrified of doing all this stuff that I know could like propel me in my career or my business or whatever. Like, obviously having your own business, putting yourself out there online is part of that, especially these days. If you can't do that, then you're holding yourself back, and you don't know what you're holding yourself back from. It could be all these amazing things, but I would never find out if I didn't do something about it. So I just got to the point where I was just so fed up of my own stuff. Like, I knew I had to do something, otherwise I would regret it. And I wanted to see what was on the other side of the fear, like what all of these amazing things could happen if I just faced this thing instead of, running away from it, which I've been doing my whole life. And I think the other thing, I always have it in my head, it's a bit morbid, but, the idea of being on your deathbed or whatever, and just back over your life. And, maybe you had a great life, but you knew there was something more. And if you didn't go after it, and you're lying there and you're not physically able to go after it anymore. My nan, she's 98 years old next month, so turning 98, and she's amazing. She's incredible. She still lives on her own, but she tells me over and over and over again, travel while you can, while you're still young, while you're physically able to, because she can't go anywhere now. And she just tells me that over there, while you're still young, go after everything you want to do. And like, I always have that in my head. And yeah, I don't want to get to the end of my life, wonder what if I had actually tried that little bit more to overcome this fear that I knew was holding me back in every area of my life. And yeah, no one wants to have regrets at the end of their life. So that kind of propelled me forward as well, I think.
That's so beautiful. And I think that's true. We only get this one life and this current incarnation and this place in the world. And so, death's the one thing, birth and death are the two things we all share. And so we'll all get to a point in life where we look back, and no one wants to have a life of regret. You want to be able to look at your life and feel proud and know that you made a difference. And so thank you for choosing to make a difference in your life so you can help others also choose to make a difference. I think that when you flip the script, you fully changed your legacy, and the world is better for that. So thank you for stepping into your bravery and facing your fears and being the living example for us. The world needs more people like that. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And and I agree. A lot of people, they put it off because they don't want to do the thing themselves. But I think you mentioned earlier, like, it's not about you. It's about how you can help other people and how your story can help other people. And you're doing a disservice, like you said, if you don't put that out there and help other people. So if you're too scared to do something, don't think about yourself physically doing it. Think about all the people waiting to hear your message. And if you never get that message out there, then they're not going to change their life. So focus on the other people, and it makes it a bit less scary.
That is very wise words. Think about the other people, not yourself. I think that's the moral of the story, that our compassion for humanity is, we need that in the world right now. So live your brave life, do the thing that scares you, share your message, and think of the others on the other side receiving that beautiful, beautiful story. Awesome. Well, I think that is a wonderful place to end on that note. And so let's wrap it up with the lightning round. And where are you currently in the world?
I'm actually currently in my hometown, or my home village. I'm back here for a few family birthdays, a few high school friends' weddings. So yeah, I'm back where it all started, which is right in the middle of England.
And it's called what?
The village is called Little Hayward. The town is called Stafford.
Nice, lovely. And so the first question is, what is a travel tip or an inside scoop for your little village?
Well, I got one about the town, and it's a bit quirky. It's a bit random, but this is what I love. I love going to a place and finding like something really random from its history. So there's a hotel in Stafford High Street, which I've been to many times. They have great food. It's called the Swan Hotel. And one of their claims to fame is that Charles Dickens once stayed there in the 1850s. It was an old coaching inn back then. I love this. He wrote an article about the town while he was there for this magazine, and he basically ripped the town to shreds. He said that the hotel was awful. The woman serving him, the woman who owned it, was like witch of a woman. He said something like Stafford is as dull and as boring a town as you could ever desire not to see, something like that. But I love the whole thing. Like, they don't shy away from it. They put it on their website. They use it as a thing to promote themselves. And I think there's just something so quintessentially British about that, like making fun of yourself. And I just love the idea that you can go to the hotel still today and you can sit there and you can just imagine Charles Dickens sitting there angrily writing about how rubbish the town is. So yeah, I just love quirky stuff like that. And I love writers. So anything famous writers gets me interested.
That is so fabulous. And I love that self-deprecating humor, and just take the piss. You're like, yeah, thanks, Charles Dickens.
Yeah.
No, all media is good media, right?
Exactly.
That is fantastic. And question number 2 is, what is a book that has inspired you in life?
Okay, so one of the books I read right before I did the Fear Challenge, which actually made me want to do it, was called A Million Miles in 1,000 Years by Donald Miller. And Donald Miller these days, he has The Business Made Simple, Story Brand Empire. But before then, he wrote, 7 or 8 memoirs, and they're all brilliant. But I love this one in particular. It's all about these indie filmmakers who are trying to make a screenplay of one of his other memoirs, but they basically tell him, Donald, your life's too boring. Like, we need to zhuzh this up a bit. So he starts looking at his life through the lens of if it was being made into a film, and how could he make it more exciting and more meaningful? And he starts creating these inciting incidents for his life, like screenwriters do for screenplays. And he started doing all these challenges. He asked out the girl he didn't, was too scared to ask out. He tracked down his estranged father. He did all these amazing things that he would never think to do otherwise, and it completely changed his life. And that was one of the reasons I decided to do this Fear Challenge, because I was like, I need an inciting incident. I need something to stir up. I need to mix it up. And it's just a brilliant book. He's a brilliant writer, very funny, very touching. I read it over and over again.
Wow, that's brilliant, because I actually have 2 of his books. I have a story brand book, and his latest, it's the Starting a Small Business or whatever.
Small business. Yeah.
Yes, it's brilliant. And I've seen him speak before at a conference. And so he's phenomenal, but I had no idea that he had written that. He has created such, interestingly enough, that, he has this book about, hey, your life is so boring. And he has created a business empire and lives a phenomenal life. So that is really, really great. I am totally going to check that one out. He's a brilliant writer. I enjoy all of it. Yeah, great. Thanks. And then question number 3 is, what is something that you always take with you, you can't live without?
Definitely my phone and portable charger, because the battery is terrible, but also layers. I'm not good in either extreme heat or extreme cold. And I don't know if it's just me, but whenever I'm on a plane, I'm absolutely freezing. Even if they give you the blanket, I'm there with my hoodie. I've got my gloves on. I've got a scarf on. I've got my jacket over my legs. So layers, layers, layers. Otherwise, I'm just, way too cold on planes.
Planes are cold, but I don't think I've ever worn gloves on a plane. So you And then the last question is, what is the top of your bucket list for adventures or destinations?
I've wanted to go to Banff National Park in Alberta, Canada for years, but I want to do it when I can do it properly, go for 2 or 3 months. I want to go there. It looks so amazingly beautiful. I've got a friend in Vancouver. I'd like to visit her. And then my plan is to come down and do Washington and Oregon as well, because I've never been to those states and they look so beautiful as well. So yeah, I mean, there's so many places, but that is my dream trip that I'm sort of saving up for at the moment.
Oh, that's lovely. I have not been to Banff or Vancouver. Both of those, they look amazing. But that part of the world is the outdoor experiences, trees and the waterways and the people. It's just so amazing. Down with that trip. And where can people find you online and connect with you?
So my website is traveltransformationcoach.com. You can find out basically all my stuff on there. And my book, my most recent book is Intentional Travel Transformation. Again, there's a page on my site that you can find out about that. I'm on Instagram at Travel Transformation Coach. And you can DM me on there too. Also, my podcast is called the Travel Transformation Podcast, which you're going to be a guest on very soon. Very excited about that. And you can find that wherever you listen to podcasts as well.
I love your podcast. I love the array of guests that you get and just the stories that you tell in general. I love seeing people living their dreams, creating the life of their dreams and sharing their stories. So thank you so much for this conversation and for sharing your stories and for living your brave life. I appreciate it. And I know all of the listeners are going to take away these nuggets of wisdom that they too can apply to their lives. So thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. It's been great. Thank you.
I love it. And happy travels.
Thank you.
I am so inspired by that conversation with Jess. I am blown away at the amount of momentum and life-changing experiences that have occurred in just creating a self-imposed 30-day challenge to face your fears and do things that you've been putting off in life. I think it is amazing. I'm such an inspiration. And here are the key takeaways. Number 1, start out designing your life by writing yourself into a fictional story of how you would like your life to be if you could write anything. The whole point is we can write anything if we look at it through that lens. Number 2, create a self-imposed challenge for 30 days where you do one thing per day that either scares you or that you've been putting off. Many times we put things off out of fear, whether we admit it or not. In 30 days, you can create enough momentum to totally change your life. Number 3, travel provides an opportunity to put yourself in a place no one knows you or anything about you. They don't know if you're shy or introverted or extroverted, or if you do workshops all of the time, or if you're terrified by the thought of it. It provides you with a completely clean slate and the opportunity to flip the script on your life. Number 4, when a man dies, a library burns to the ground. Life is short and time runs out, so live your legacy. Achieve your dreams while you're still here and while you still can. Number 5, life is short, so let's make sure it's nothing short of amazing. Why would we do anything else? Why, when we can write our own story and we can design our own life, why would we not write the best story we possibly can and do everything we can to make it happen? Number 6, our own individual life purpose should be to leave the planet a little bit better than how we found it. And if we can do that by passing on our story and our knowledge and anything that can help the next generation, we should strive to do that in any way we can. The travel quote that I want to leave you with today is from Mel Robbins. And Mel said, if you're not scared, you're not taking a chance. And if you're not taking a chance, then what in the hell are you doing? And it's so true. It's all of the things that we talked about today in this conversation, talking about living your legacy, talking about living an intentional life, talking about being conscious of the ways that we are not really being the true person that we are or desire to be. And we all only get this one life in this one place in time on this beautiful planet that we call home. We get this one chance to live the most amazing life. We all get to design the life of our dreams if only we take the 2 seconds of courage to step into and face that thing that we are so scared of. In just 2 seconds of courage or 30 days of committing to facing your fears, you have the power to transform your life into something that you can look back on and say, I did that. I lived my dreams. I achieved what I wanted to achieve. I climbed the mountains I wanted to climb. I made the friends that I want to make. I did the things in life that I was afraid of, and it was so much easier than I thought. And so with that, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in today. This is always such a pleasure. And I'm so inspired in getting to share the stories of these amazing guests with you each and every week. It's such a joy to sit in conversation with people who really have designed the life of their dreams. And so if this story inspired you at all today, then please share it. Share it with a friend. Share it on your socials. Tag a friend. Pass the word around. Let people know, because these things are worth talking about. Your life is worth creating into the most magnificent version you can imagine. How can you change your life in the next 30 days? Let me know. And until next time, thank you so much for showing up and listening to this episode. I know that there are so many things in life that you could be doing right now. And so it means a lot to me that you're here. There are so many more episodes coming your way. So if you enjoyed the show, please take a moment to review and follow us on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you know someone who might like to hear it, please share. Those little acts of kindness mean a lot and help more than you know. I appreciate your time and getting the opportunity to share this moment. I'd love to hear more from you. I'd love to connect, so reach out on social. You can find me on Instagram at Seafaring Wanderer. That's SEAFARINGWANDERER. And then you can join our Facebook group at Design Her Travel Podcast. I would love to connect, hear more from you. Let me know what you'd like to hear more of, places you'd like to hear about, and things you'd like to know how to do when designing your life. So thank you, everyone, and I'll be back soon.
Thank you for listening to the Travel Transformation Podcast with me, Jessica Grace Coleman. If you enjoyed this episode, I would really appreciate it if you could please subscribe, rate and review, and spread the word, because it's my mission to help as many people as possible to flip the script on their lives and transform through travel. And remember, life is short, so let's make sure it's nothing short of amazing. Until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.